Urchfab. It's going to be part 25 on the Mongrel. So I had a lot of people in the comments saying, why don't I just make a tubular subframe? There's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't do that, mainly being that it would be a massive amount of work for absolutely no gain whatsoever. To make something like that, you would have to make a complete fixture jig to bolt that into, and then work off of that jig, make everything else. I mean, it would literally take weeks. And then making all the arms, you can buy all the rose jointed arms pre-made. And so yeah, that definitely not something I would consider doing on this. I have built a car where I built every single suspension arm, link bar, bracket, you know, and if you ever damage anything, it just makes repairing it take a really long time. But anyway, that's why I'm not making my own subframe. I'll just find a good one, buy it, bolt it straight in, job done. Probably buy all the adjustable arms, bolt them in. If ever I crash it, break anything, I can just buy another one, bolt it on. Another suggestion was, why don't I not bother making this section and put a big diffuser in there. Diffusers, I just, no, not on something like this. The only thing I would consider doing on the back of this is maybe like a little ducktail spoiler like they had on the old Capris and the old Escorts, like a little lip spoiler thing at the back. Or I quite like the aluminium like drag racer wings that are all like riveted together. So one of those two. Definitely ain't going to be no diffuser, definitely ain't going to be some big wing thing on the back. But yeah, let's carry on with this. Right, so got a nice straight edge to work off of now. So I need to make these little end strips first, and then this piece is just going to fold straight under. I'm going to do this bottom piece out of 1.5 mil, just because it's not actually going to be connected into anything. It's just going to be sort of a hanging panel. And on my old Escort, you got a similar setup, and if ever you run over a cone or anything, it'll always like mangle the back panel up a bit. So my thinking is, if I do it out of 1.5, it's just going to be a bit stronger. So I've just got a stretcher shrinker turned up, little hand operated one, which I'm going to need to make these little pieces. So we'll start off with those. So thanks Matt's Tools for sending me this. So we've just got two attachments. This is just like a little vice mounted jobby. The way these work is, as these two bottom dies push down on that, you can see that it would be spreading the ones below it. There's a split in the middle, so as you push this down, it spreads those two dies apart top and bottom, and this is the stretcher, so it's pulling the metal apart. This is going to be doing the opposite. We need to be stretching for what we're doing, so you can see how that works. As it compresses, it just pulls those four inwards and grips on it. So I'll give you a little demo. So you've got a folded edge like that, and this needs to be curved. You're going to stretch this edge and bow that around. So all it's doing is it's pulling this metal apart, thinning it out. And then obviously the shrinker does the opposite, compresses it in. And so I'm going to have a go with a bit of 1.5, see if it'll shape that. 1 mil is obviously the norm for car body panel stuff. This would be the first project that I've ever made any panels from 1.5. So obviously it's going to add a bit of weight, but when my young'uns are digging this thing out of the field, the boot floor and back panel should be a bit less rusty than everything else. It's not really much harder than doing the 1 mil. Alright, so I've matched that up to the lip on the rear quarter repair panel that I put in yesterday. So now we want to step that edge so that when we lay the panel over the top, it'll sit flat. So I'm going to do that one with the bead roller. So what I'm doing is just doing a little bit at a time until I can see that the step is like the thickness of the piece. So like the bottom line of that lines up with the top line of that bit. So then you know when you lay the panel over the top, it'll sit flat. It's not going to sit perfectly flat because I can't actually roll this panel to go on. I'm going to have to like do lots of little gradual sort of bends in the folder, so it's not going to be perfect, but so it's going to be butt welded down there, spot welded along this seam, and it's probably going to be cut off. I only want it to come down to sort of the lowest part, so I'll probably just cut it off about there. And then I think I might make a return lip coming down, facing straight down, so it matches like this from the side. So what you have there comes down, you've got a flat. I think I'd like this to come down with a flat at the bottom. And then the other piece, I will put a step like this all the way down this edge of it, and then it will slide in underneath that and up on the back, so it will be an overlapped seam like we did with this. Alright, so done exactly the same for the other side. So now I can make this piece. So we got a little step to slot underneath the previous panel we fixed, and then I mark that every 10 mil, and then just did a little fold every 10 mil, and it's pretty nice curve. I wish I'd done it like that on the sill now. So I did the sill in like steps, like 3 or 4 folds, so you'll have edges in it, whereas kind of wishing I'd done it like that. But alright, so just needs a little bit of trimming up in places just to get it to line up perfectly. But I can get the spot welder in there to spot weld all the way down this bottom panel. These will be spot welded here, and then the only bit that I'll have to actually weld is that little bit there, either end. And I need to cut these little end panels and put a fold in to carry that folded edge all the way up. So yeah, a little clean up, a bit of weld through primer, and then we'll get all this welded in. So that's that bit in. I've just got to do the same at the other end now, clean it all up, and then we're done. This is what it all looks like from the inside. Alright, so the back panel is in, finished. It's nice and sturdy because it's a little bit thicker. You know, this 1 mil, it's only half a mil difference, but it really does make make a lot of difference to how much wobble there is in it. Also, the fact that this is a bit thicker, I was thinking about maybe putting a load of swaged holes down here, just because I know that all you guys that wanted a diffuser are probably unsubscribing that. So I thought maybe a few swaged holes might make up for it. And because this is 1.5, I'd be able to get away with doing it on this curve, just about. You can't really put a dimple die onto a curved panel, because when you pinch it up, it will flatten out the curve in the panel. But because this is a bit thicker, I think I'd be able to get away with just doing, you know, not pinching out too tight, just tight enough to get the taper on the hole. And I don't think it would deform this just because it's thicker. So get your votes in. Would you like to see some swaged holes down the back? I think it might look cool. Alright, that is it for another episode. So yeah, thanks to Met's Tools for sending me this out. I've been needing one of these since I moved in here. Yeah, I mean, for what they cost, I think that's 130 quid, something like that, with the both sets of jaws. And just owning one of those really does just open up what you're able to do with like shaping metal, and really handy tool. So I'll put a link in the description for that. And yeah, back on it again tomorrow. Gonna have a mess around with the tubs on the back. But yeah, that is it for this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.